Secret societies. There have always been mystery schools and secret groups that only allow a select few to enter their ranks and share occult or hidden knowledge. We know that there were already many such societies at the beginning of written history in Egypt. Then, around 1500 BCE, Thutmose III led a mystery school at Karnak and brought all other mystery schools together to be one single order. There were other cult centers and mystery schools in other lands at the beginning of history, such as the cult of Enki at Eridu in Mesopotamia. Before written history began, around 5,000 years ago, there was the priestly Brahmin caste in India who knew the words of the Vedas and how to perform secret rituals. In Britain, the Druids held the knowledge of magic mushrooms and when the feast of the summer solstice would occur. Ritual feasts were also held at the Göbekli Tepe temple in modern Turkey over 12,000 years ago. All around the world there have been priesthoods that held secrets, which were reserved for the initiated only. Shamans have passed on their secrets of healing and entering the spirit world to later generations of shamans. It is believed by some that at the time of the Atlantean civilization, there were two main priesthoods, one of the serpent and one of the eagle, and that these two streams have flowed through the societies of history. The secret rituals of ancient Egypt dealt with the immortality of the soul and its journey back to its source. One of the rituals was a reenactment of the death of Osiris and his subsequent resurrection with the help of Isis. While Thutmose III was overseeing the mysteries in Karnak, the Mycenaean Greeks were participating in the Eleusinian and Dionysian mysteries. The mystic rituals of Eleusis dealt with the immortality of Persephone and her repeated deaths and rebirths. The drama of Dionysus also depicted a god that dies and comes back to life. These schools lasted for 2 millennia. Later Greek mystery schools like the Pythagoreans and the Orphic mysteries appeared in the early 6th century BCE. Along with life after death, both of these dealt with cleansing the soul through fasting, abstinence, vegetarianism, and ritual washings. The Orphic mysteries taught that through initiation and reincarnation, one can rid themselves of their titanic nature. 3rd century Greece brought over the mysteries of Isis and Osiris from Egypt. Apuleius wrote about his own initiation into the mysteries of Isis. In The Golden Ass, he talks of secret signs and tokens used by initiates and about the ordeals of the rituals, as well as personal visitations he had with the gods. From the beginning of the Common Era, the Romans had initiates in the Bacchic mysteries, which sprang from the Dionysian mysteries. They also had the Sabazios cult from the Levant. The mysteries of the Levant came in the form of Jewish mysticism, Merkabah mysticism from 100 BCE, and Kabbalah from 1200 CE. Alongside Merkabah mysticism was the Essene Brotherhood of Light from 200 BCE to 100 CE. The Essenes saw the land go from Greek rule to Roman rule, and at their apex, they had an initiate named Yeshua, Jesus, who was to be the long-awaited chosen one. Jesus had an inner circle of apostles and close friends that he taught secret teachings to, which he only shared with others in allegory and parable. From Jesus' teachings came the Christian religion, but all religions and secret societies have inner circles. 100 years after Jesus came the Gnostics, who believed they had secret knowledge pertaining to life, death, and the universe. Gnostics gathered their ideas from multiple sources, including Platonism. Plato was apprenticed under Socrates, and in 387 BCE, he started a school of philosophers in Athens, where he taught about the metaphysical nature of forms. Forms in matter, like the Platonic solids, and forms in the shape of ideas and virtues. The highest form is the form of the good, God. From this original and all-encompassing form come all other forms. Plato's form of the good is a continuation of the universal soul taught by the earlier Greek philosopher Pythagoras, who also studied in various secret societies. Platonism taught the dualistic idea that spirit is good and matter is bad. This idea influenced the Catholic Church and Islamic thought. Neoplatonism of the 3rd century called the form of the good nous, knowledge. Nous is the one, and it has a world soul. Mystics of Neoplatonism taught that the soul is chained to matter and longs to return to its source. In 7th century Arabia, Muhammad formed his circle of followers. The Muslim followers of Muhammad took over many lands, including Jerusalem. By 1000 CE, groups of Islamic mystics known as Sufis formed their own secret societies and mystical teachings. Shortly after the First Crusade into Jerusalem, 1119 CE, a group of knights was formed by the Frenchman Hugh de Payens. These knights were called the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, also known as Knights Templar. Along with the Knights Hospitaller, they were known to escort pilgrims to the Temple Mount. A small percentage of the knights fought in the Crusades, but most of them were busy building the First World Bank, taking charitable donations, and building famous cathedrals. The Templars thrived for 200 years, but the Catholic Church saw their power as a threat and killed all the Templars they could. In the Holy Land, Templars discovered secret knowledge beneath the ruins of Solomon's Temple. They also came in contact with Sufi mysticism, which is linked to ancient Indian philosophy and mysticism. The Templars developed secret initiation rituals for their order. The Church used the rituals as an excuse to burn them at the stake. The surviving knights went into hiding until, like a phoenix, they rose from the ashes. In 1408, the legendary Christian Rosicrucians of Germany founded the Rosicrucian order. This order used the same symbol as the Knights Templars, a red cross or rosy cross. They also had secret initiation rituals and were Christian mystics. It is said that Christian traveled toward the Holy Land and ended up going to Turkey, Arabia, and Persia, where he was taught the mysteries from Zoroastrian and Sufi sages. Similarities exist between Rosicrucians and Paracelsus, who was a descendant of Knights Hospitallers. Paracelsus was born in 1493. He, like Christian Rosicrucians, traveled to learn philosophy and the healing arts. He was an alchemist, physician, astronomer, hermeticist, and prophet. His teachings were studied by German Rosicrucians. Like Plato, Pythagoras, and others, Paracelsus believed the universe to be one organism that is united by an all-pervading spirit, and that all things, including humans, are part of it. This universe is what Paracelsus called God. Paracelsus also discussed the doctrine of signatures, which follows the Hermetic saying, as above, so below, and the idea of types, macrocosms, and microcosms. In medicine, this means that a walnut looks like a brain, so it must be beneficial for the brain, or a cut carrot resembles an eye, so it must have properties that help eye health, etc. His ideas had a big influence on the German philosopher and mystic Jacob Boehme. The famous philosopher and statesperson Francis Bacon became Grand Master of the Rosicrucian order. He wrote of a Rosicrucian order guiding the people of the New Atlantis. In the early 1600s, Johannes André was influential in continuing Rosicrucianism in Germany by publishing the Rosicrucian manifestos about their secret order. Rosicrucians, as the Knights Templar and the Knights Hospitaller, vowed to live virtuous lives and to use their knowledge to heal others. This connects these groups to earlier secret societies like the Therapeutai and the Essenes. Rosicrucians spread to all parts of Europe, especially in France and Germany. In the 1700s, Benjamin Franklin joined various secret societies. He was a Grand Master in the Pennsylvania Masonic Lodge, attended Hellfire clubs in England, joined a Rosicrucian lodge in France, and started one in Pennsylvania. Franklin, being a statesperson, inventor, and mystic, helped design the Great Seal of the United States. At the same time, Hermann Fichtold founded the Order of the Gold and Rosy Cross in Germany. Fichtold required members to be Master Masons before being initiated to the order. Joseph Smith required the same of LDS members before being initiated in the Nauvoo, Illinois temple. All of the various Rosicrucian groups practiced alchemy, Hermeticism, Kabbalah, and Christian mysticism. The Fraternitas Rosicrucis, founded by Paschal Beverly Randolph in 1861, claims to be a continuation of the earlier Pennsylvania Rosicrucians, and that Abraham Lincoln was a high-ranking member of the order. Beverly had run-ins with the famous occultist Madame Blavatsky over opinions about the use of sex magic. Helena Blavatsky founded the Theosophical Society in 1875. She traveled the world to study esoteric teachings and brought together elements of Greek Neoplatonism, Indian Vedanta, Tibetan Buddhism, Hermetic Kabbalah, and Sufism. She claimed to be in contact with spiritual guides called Masters of the Ancient Wisdom. The goals of the society are 1. To form a nucleus of the universal brotherhood of humanity without distinction of race, creed, sex, caste, or color. 2. To encourage the study of comparative religion, philosophy, and science. 3. To investigate the unexplained laws of nature and the powers latent in man. In the 1860s and 70s, Freemasons started their own Masonic Rosicrucian order for Christian Master Masons, called Societas Rosicruciana, in England, Scotland, and America. The Societas Rosicruciana Anglia took its degrees and rituals from the German Order of the Gold and Rosy Cross. They were later used for the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, whose founders were Masonic Rosicrucians. The Golden Dawn was founded in 1888 by William Woodman, William Westcott, and Samuel Mathers. They studied Hermeticism, astrology, alchemy, theurgy, the summoning of spirits, tarot divination, astral projection, ritual magic, and spiritual development. Like Joseph Smith's Masonic Lodge in Nauvoo, women were admitted in the order as equals to men. The outer circle of initiates had 10 degrees based on decoded cipher manuscripts, which were believed to come from ancient Egyptian rituals and teachings. An inner circle for adepts who had finished the 10 degrees was called the Ruby Rose and Golden Cross. Rituals of the inner circle dealt with traditions of Christian Rosencreutz. A third circle of secret chiefs was said to guide the order. The Golden Dawn splintered into different secret societies that had the same basic structure. Members of the Isis Urania Temple in London broke away with A.E. Waite at their head and had an inner circle called the Sphere. Waite went on to start the independent and rectified rite of the Golden Dawn, and then the Fellowship of the Rosy Cross. Robert Felkin started Stella Matuna, Morning Star. He was connected with German Rosicrucians led by Rudolf Steiner. Mathers started the Rosicrucian Order of Alpha et Omega with an inner circle called the Fraternity of the Hidden Light. Members of this secret society went on to start their own orders. Paul Foster Case founded the Builders of the Adytum, which leaned more towards Kabbalah and Tarot and less towards theurgy. His book, The True and Invisible Rosicrucian Order, describes the 10 Rosicrucian degrees of these various orders. Paul Clark started a breakoff of Case's BOTA in the 1980s called Fraternitas Lux Occulta, Fraternity of the Hidden Light. Dion Fortune was also a member of Alpha et Omega's inner circle, but after publishing The Esoteric Philosophy of Love and Marriage, she was accused of revealing secrets of the order. She subsequently started her own order called the Society of Inner Light. Another direct break-off of the Golden Dawn was Aleister Crowley's AA. Crowley had a disdain for Christianity, but had an inclination towards religious ritual and philosophy, so he joined Masonry. Then he befriended Mathers and joined the Golden Dawn. When the Golden Dawn disbanded, he started the AA. He also joined the Ordo Templi Orientis, O.T.O, a Masonic-style initiatory order, and became its Grand Master. Crowley then rewrote the degrees of the O.T.O. He dubbed himself the Beast of the Apocalypse and the Antichrist. At the end of the 1800s, the Kabbalistic Order of the Rose Cross in France was formed. This French order was set up more like a school with members earning bachelor's, master's, and doctorates in esoteric teachings. They studied Christian Kabbalah, Freemasonry, Buddhism, and Spiritism, the practice of communing with spirits as taught by Allan Kardec. In the early 1900s, more Rosicrucian orders sprang up. Rudolf Steiner led a Rosicrucian order in Germany. Steiner was over the German and Austrian branch of the Theosophical Society, and he was the Austrian chief of the O.T.O. before Crowley took over. Steiner then founded his own Anthroposophical Society, as well as Waldorf schools and biodynamic agriculture. Robert Felkin believed Steiner's group to be the true Rosicrucian chiefs. Max Heindel also held Steiner in great esteem as his mentor. Heindel started the Rosicrucian Fellowship in Southern California in 1909 as a group of Christian mystics who study the mysteries of creation and astrology. Heindel's wife became the caregiver to a young man named Manly P. Hall. Hall's parents were Rosicrucians. In 1930, Hall started the Philosophical Research Society in Los Angeles, where occult books were collected and studied. He later joined Freemasonry in San Francisco. Hall is known for his books and lectures on esotericism and the occult. Harvey Spencer Lewis met with Rosicrucians in France and brought their form of teaching back to the U.S. to start the ancient and mystical order Rosicrucians in 1915. Amorc is now the largest Rosicrucian group in the world. They teach meditation, psychic phenomena, healing techniques, alchemy, and metaphysics. Lewis claimed to possess exclusive documents connecting the order to ancient Egypt, but after a legal battle with Aleister Crowley, the Amorc degrees were rewritten. Crowley wanted control of Amorc, but did not get it. The O.T.O. and Amorc both have higher degrees called Illuminati degrees, connecting them to the Bavarian secret society of Adam Weishaupt, founded in 1776. Lewis was a 33rd degree Mason, 9th degree in the O.T.O., and Imperator of Amorc. All of the secret societies are connected like a web across time and space. Amorc also started the traditional Martinist order in the U.S. Martinism has its beginnings in the teachings of Emanuel Swedenborg. Swedenborg was a Swedish Christian mystic that had many visitations with angels, spirits, and otherworldly beings. On April 6, 1744, he received the revelation that Jesus wanted him to reform Christianity. Many were inspired by his contact with spirits. Adherents of Spiritism and Spiritualism were some. Martinez de Pasquale was a French Mason who in 1767 founded the order of Knight Masons Elect Priests of the Universe, also known as Alus Coens. This order claimed to come from teachings that Adam's son Seth received from angels. Angels restored the teachings to Noah after the flood, and they were kept by the Rosicrucians. The teachings are that fallen humanity has been cut off from God, and needs to be reintegrated with God through the help of angelic beings. This theurgy is brought about through Masonic-style ceremonies that call on the spirits. One of Pasquale's protégés was Louis-Claude de Saint Martin. Saint Martin and a circle of disciples started the Society of Intimates. They continued to discuss reintegration from the fall and perform secret rituals, but they replaced the summoning of spirits with looking inward for the reintegration of the soul. By 1891, the teachings and rituals of Saint Martin became the Martinist order, with Pappus as the president of the Supreme Council. Pappus was also a Grand Master of the aforementioned Kabbalistic Order of the Rose Cross. An American branch of the traditional Martinist order was started by Ralph Lewis in 1939. Going back to the 1400s, we saw the rebirth of the Templars in the Rosicrucians. At the same time, we find stonemasons who belong to guilds with secrets of the trade that are only transmitted by degrees from a master to an apprentice. As discussed, the Templars were the builders of the magnificent cathedrals of medieval Europe. Not only did secrets of the trade survive, but allegorical teachings associated with the tools of a builder did as well. An apprentice was sworn to secrecy by an oath. Evidence of these oaths from 1425 are called the Old Charges of Operative Masons. The secret teachings of operative masonry split off to speculative masonry in 1717, when the Grand Lodge of England was formed, with its 3 degrees, apprentice, fellowcraft, and master mason. Masonic legend goes back to the builders of Solomon's Temple. But we also see Masonic tools like the compass and square in the story of Jesus and his stepdad Joseph as stonemasons, with the Chinese gods Nua and Fuchi, and in the religious hieroglyphics of ancient Egypt, where the god Amun holds the symbolic emblems. Like Rosicrucianism, Masonry is an offshoot of the Templars, who sprang from Jewish, Christian, and Sufic mysticism, which in turn came from Egyptian, Mesopotamian, Indic, and Greek priesthoods. Those priesthoods sprang from shamanistic teachings and practices that we inherited from the gods, aka the Atlantean civilization. Soon after the formation of the Grand Lodge in England, Masonic rites that drew their members from third-degree Masons were formed, such as the Swedenborg Rite by Marquis de Thorn in 1773 France, and the Rite of High Egyptian Masonry in 1738, the Rite of Cagliostro in 1784, the Rite of Mizraim in 1788, and the Illuminati by Adam Weishaupt in 1776. The Illuminati had plans to overthrow the French government through infiltration. It is said that they were dismantled, but many believe that they continue to infiltrate governments and societies in order to bring about their new world order. In 1801, the Scottish Rite was officially formed. Its 33 degrees are a collection of older degrees. They were then rewritten by Albert Pike in 1857. The York Rite and Scottish Rite both pick up where the story left off. While the first 3 degrees deal with the building of Solomon's Temple, the Scottish and York Rite degrees continue with the destruction of the first temple and the rebuilding of the second temple. These rites both have degrees about the camp of Israel around the tabernacle, and about finding the lost word in the crypts beneath the temple, and degrees about chivalric Templar knights. The Scottish Rite also has Rose Croix degrees. Thus, the Scottish Rite hits on Masonry, Rosicrucianism, Templarism, Kabbalah, and Judaism, as well as Greek, Egyptian, Persian, and Eastern philosophies. Karl Kellner was an Austrian man that traveled extensively to study esotericism. He studied Sufism, Hindu Tantra, Theosophy, Rosicrucianism, and Freemasonry. He learned about the secret teachings of sex magic from the Hermetic Brotherhood of Light, Tantra, the Rosicrucian Paschal Randolph, and others. After being initiated in the high degrees of the rite of Memphis Mizraim, Kellner decided to start his own Masonic rite, called the Ordo Templi Orientis, in 1895. This rite was to have the high degrees of Masonry and admit both men and women in order to practice sex magic, which Kellner found to be the key to all the mysteries. He got his friend Theodore Russ to help organize the rite. At the time, Russ was trying to revive the Order of the Illuminati. Russ took over the O.T.O. after Kellner's death. He then brought in Aleister Crowley, who became the next Grand Master of the Order. Crowley was told to revise some of the degrees by the Scottish Rite because of the similarities with theirs. He did, and he added the ritual of the Gnostic Catholic Mass, as well as his Thelema philosophy, which consists of following your will and desires. Crowley's successor as head of the order was Kellner Germer from Germany. When Adolf Hitler came into power in the 1930s, he read the O.T.O's Book of the Law, but he later banned it along with many other books. Germer was then forced to work in Nazi concentration camps. Upon being released, he went to California. There, Germer was met by an Englishman named Gerald Gardner, who later founded the Wicca religion in 1954. As a student of the occult, Gardner joined the Rosicrucian order Crotona Fellowship. Members of that order introduced him to the New Forest Coven. There, Gardner was initiated into Wicca, witchcraft. Wanting to bring back the old religion, Gardner took what he had learned from these pagans, Freemasonry, and Aleister Crowley's writings on ceremonial magic, and developed the rituals of Wicca. While Hitler banned societies like Freemasons and the O.T.O. in Germany, he was personally obsessed with the occult. Like the Catholic Church, Hitler collected relics which he believed to have magic powers. Hitler joined the German Workers' Party, which became the Nazi Party. The Workers' Party was sponsored by the Thule Society and shared the same views about the superiority of the Germanic people or Aryan race. Thule is the name of a legendary land to the north said to be the capital of Hyperborea, land of the gods beyond the north wind. Interestingly, Thule is the name of the Proto-Inuit people of Greenland. The occult belief was that Thule was a land at the North Pole where 4 main rivers divided the Arctic ice in the shape of a swastika. The swastika was used by parent societies of the Thule, who got it from the ancient Aryans, including the Celts, Hindus, and Arabs. Back in 1893, Guido von List founded a secret society in Austria based on Blavatsky's theosophical ideas on root races, the Aryans of India, the Middle East and Europe, and on Hindu and Norse mythology. He used the Aryan symbol of the swastika and believed that Germanic runes were intrinsically magical. The inner circle of this society was called the High Armanen Order. It taught the Gnostic idea that all things are part of the divine. Inspired by von List, Theodor Fritsch started the Teutonic Order, Germanenorden, in Germany, which also used a swastika as its symbol and emphasized nationalism and the superiority of the Nordic people. The order was Freemasonic in structure and neo-pagan in nature. They celebrated the summer solstice and read from the Norse Eddas. Rudolf von Sebatendorf, a member of the order who was also a Freemason, astrologer, and Sufi, saw a common root in the German and Islamic mystical systems, and started another splinter group of the Germanenorden. Sebatendorf then made the Thule Society as a cover, or outer order, of his Germanenorden. Thule gave birth to the Nazi Party. These societies were political as well as occult. They had members in high places. Hitler's top men were members of the Thule Society. Similarly, the founding fathers of the United States were Freemasons. They were innovators, inventors, statesmen, politicians, students of the occult, and members of secret societies. The Illuminati wasn't the only order that aimed to change governments. Masons have been instrumental in the French Revolution, the American Revolution, the revolutions of South America, and more. They teach the principles of equality and the shunning of tyranny. We have discussed the secret societies of Asia, such as the Tantric Yoga that made its way from India to Tibet and onto China and Japan, in previous chapters. The secrets of India also made their way into Persian and Arabian mysticism. It is interesting to see the connections between all of the secret societies. For instance, both Helena Blavatsky and Albert Pike visited the Mormons in Missouri during Joseph Smith's time. Smith's Masonic involvement influenced Mormon ritual and teachings. Once we see the interconnected nature of secret societies and those that formed them, the veil of secrecy is lifted and the truth is made clear.